Hey everybody, so I made a promise to myself I would try to post every Sunday, and it is now Tuesday when I'm filming this because I work Saturday afternoons and nights, so I don't really have time to pre-record, and Sunday was the Super Bowl, and I was not home until like 10 o'clock, so I decided I would try to make up for it with this video where I'm just going to talk about some of booktok series that I have read and finished, and then talk about some that I've started but do not plan on finishing, which there is a couple, and I might end up giving them second chances. I might try because a couple of them I only read the first book, but yeah, so I decided that could be recorded today and be easy enough to post in the same day. So the most recent one that I finished was literally yesterday. Oh, I'm sorry, I look so ghosty pale right now because it is snowing. We have a snow day, so I had time to do this. The most recent one I finished, which I want to talk about first, oh god, there we go, is the Dreamland Billionaire series, or whatever it's called. So that has the fine print, terms and conditions, and final offer. So the Dreamland series is about 3 different brothers that all have an inheritance that they have to do a certain task to get from their grandfather who owned Dreamland, which is basically like Disney, except they all fall in love in the process, of course. The first book, the fine print, is between Rowan and Zara. I hope I'm saying that correctly. The second one is Declan and Iris. And then the third one is Cal and Alana. I have a couple very strong opinions about this series that I feel like doesn't get talked about enough. But I loved the fine print when I read it. I don't know if I would still love it as much, but I read this like a long time ago. This was one of the first books that like I started reading when I got back into reading a couple years ago, so I don't really remember. But one flaw that I do remember from this book that reappears in the other 2 books is that these women are not rich, and Zara works for Dreamland, and so does Iris. And oh, that's the wrong book. Iris. Right? Yeah, okay. And they point out flaws about their workers and their pay and like all that kind of stuff, which especially in this one she brought up how like she like doesn't make enough money, I think it was, and then he was suddenly like, oh my god, my workers can't live, let me uprise the pay. Like, you didn't already know that? That's what bothers me about like this book specifically, and it happens in terms and conditions as well, where she points out that she works 6 days a week, and he was like, wait, so you don't have friends because all you do is work? Like, of course she doesn't. Like, that's my one major flaw with this series that I have noticed repeatedly. Terms and conditions, I think I just read it in January. I think I gave it a 4.5. I did genuinely like this story. It's Grumpy Sunshine, it's fake marriage, and I don't know, I did really enjoy this one. I don't remember the fine print enough to be able to say like, oh, I loved it, but I did really like this one, and I think, yeah, that's it. I liked it. Okay, the third book, Final Offer. This was between Cal and Alana, and I was really excited for Cal's story, but I never read the back. I completely missed the fact that he's an alcoholic, and I hated it. I gave this a 2-star. I've seen people say they like the representation of like addiction in this, and I did see some of that, like the urge to stop but not being able to, and like being high functioning and trying to hide it from everyone all the time, and like the stress getting the better and like relapsing and stuff like that. But other than that, I did not see the correct representation, and some parts of it felt super skipped over, and I think Alana was weak. He broke her heart, he was addicted to more than just alcohol when they first dated, and he broke her heart. She didn't even like know it was that bad, I think. And he shows up again 6 years later, and she practically tries to shut him out, and then it's just like, oh, I don't know how we got here. I listened to this on audio, and that is not like a common theme for me. I don't really enjoy audiobooks because like the voices ick me out a little bit, and it did in this one. But I'm trying not to let that affect my rating because it's not really the book's fault. But I grew up around addicts, and I'm not gonna specify, I'm not gonna go into more detail, but if somebody did to me what Cal did, I would not forgive. Maybe I could forgive them, but I would never allow them to re-enter my life just because they're sober, because that is a ticking time bomb. You never know. And of course in this story they get their happy ending because he's fine now, but they skipped over some major parts in this, and I don't like that he was an alcoholic. And that's completely my fault for not seeing it, but once I knew it, I still, like, I listened to the audiobook because I didn't want to read it. I just wanted to say I finished the series. And this was really disappointing to me because I saw people in Goodreads saying, like, oh, this represented this really well. No, it didn't. No, it really did not. And at some point, he was very drunk and got into her house because he was living in the guest house, but he welcomed himself into the main house, and he ended up falling, breaking a table, and breaking her deceased mother's vase. And that is absolutely unforgivable. And like, she just never brings up how badly it hurt again after like those 2 chapters. And he, during, I believe it was his chapter when this was happening, he said he's not a mean drunk or sad drunk or anything like that. He's just happy when he's drunk. That is not alcoholism. Alcoholics are not happy people. They still slip up while they are drunk and get moody and mean and nasty, or nasty when they don't have a drink, or nasty, like, it doesn't make sense to me. And for her to specify in his part, trying to like kind of justify it, saying like, oh, I'm a happy drunk, I never get like that when I'm drunk. That's not true. That's not a good representation of alcoholism. That is not alcoholism. This was a horrible representation, and I'm not gonna bash people for enjoying the book, but this is not an accurate representation. And I think Alana literally was so dumb for even letting him have the chance, and she kept saying like, I don't want to repeat mistakes with him, but then she'd sleep with him. Overall, this is probably like a 4-star series for me, just because of the last one, but I don't discourage you to not read them. I still think they're good books. The next series, which everyone knows, and this is very controversial but also very hyped, is the Twisted series. So we've got Twisted Love, Twisted Games, right? Oh, can you see? Twisted Hate, and Twisted Lies. Now I'm going to go through each book. I'm going to try to be faster than the Dreamland Billionaire series because I just had very strong opinions on that one. So the first one, there is something on my book. Okay, Twisted Love. I think I liked this more when I first read it, but like thinking back to it, I was like, why did I enjoy it? I didn't really love this one. I liked certain parts about Alex, but I thought this book was just like throwing in like drama, and it was so chaotic. Like, I think we could have lived without some of the events that happen in this, especially because it's literally the smallest one in the series. But I did like the tropes. I liked his moodiness, but love for her. And I liked Ava, as I think I liked her. I didn't even specify on Twisted Love. So this is a Grumpy Sunshine romance, brother's best friend. And yeah, it was enjoyable. Just, I think we could have survived without some of the key parts of the story. and it was just like dramatized, if that's a word. It was just dramatized. Then we have Twisted Games, and this one I really did enjoy. This was my second favorite of the series, and Twisted Love was the last for me. So this is Rai and Rise. I saw the pronunciation, I can't remember it. And Bridget. It's a bodyguard romance. She's a princess, and now she has to take over in her country. Oh, the lighting is off again. In her country, because her brother is stepping down for love. And then the next one is Twisted Hate. Now, this is my top one in the series, I believe, and I feel like that's the most controversial. But I read this a long time ago. I read Twisted Hate, Twisted Love, Twisted Games, Twisted Lies. So I read this one first because I knew this one would be my favorite, and it was. And this one is Jules and Josh Chen, and I just loved the tension, and the spice was really good. And I read this a long time ago, so like I don't know, but I loved them. This is Best Friend's Brother. Gotta love it. And then the last one is Twisted Lies, and this one bored the crap out of me, and I talked about this one in my January wrap-up, I believe. And this one was just really boring and way too long for what it needed to be. It was slow burn to another level. This is Christian Harper and Stella, I think? Yeah, Stella. So she's like an influencer, and he's just like a CEO, and he's trying to help her because he has a crush on her. But I didn't really like him, and I didn't really feel attached to the story at all. Like, at all. So, moving on. That one was my third to least favorite. No, second least favorite. So, it went Twisted Hate, Twisted Games, Twisted Lies, Twisted Love. That was my order for that series. The next one I'm going to talk about are books I've not read in a long time, and I definitely want to reread soon, and that means a lot because I've never reread books. But I got The Summer I Turned Pretty. If I can hold these correctly. We have The Summer I Turned Pretty, It's Not Summer Without You, and We'll Always Have Summer. Now, I loved these, but I also read it 2 summers ago, and it's YA. It's a love triangle between Belly. Why am I explaining it? You guys all know this. We've all seen the show, right? If you haven't, what are you doing? Get the books as well, because I loved these when I read it. Don't remember a thing, if I'm being honest, but it's a love triangle between Belly, who goes to her summer house with the cousins. Not literal cousins. Was that even their last name? Or was that the town? That was the town. So her mother and her brother always go to see her mother's best friend and her 2 sons, and it's a love triangle between Belly, Jeremiah, and Conrad, if you don't already know this. If you don't, you're insane. Go get the books, go watch the show. The show progressed so much in season 2. I loved how much better it got than season 1, if I'm being honest. And then the next series we have is one that's not finished, but I'm going to talk about it anyways because I can. Alright? Icebreaker and Wildfire. So this is the Maple Hills, I believe, series, and I loved, these were both 5 stars for me because I read Icebreaker at the right time, and this is between Anastasia and Nate Hawkins, and she hates him because he's a hockey player, and like, this is no work of art. This is a book you sit down and read after an intense fantasy or something like that, and you just feel good. That's all this book is, and it's basically all this book is, but I feel like this one was deeper than this one, and it was more romantic as well. Read it, have fun with it, don't expect anything that's gonna be like, it's just a sweet little romance book that has lots of spice. But then the second one, Wildfire, tamed down in the spice department and was so romantic, so sweet, you could really feel their connection. They were just so amazing. So this one was Russ and Aurora, and I tied to both of these characters because they both have issues with their fathers, and I thought this was just really sweet that they could connect on that and help each other, and it was really sweet. So this one, they have a one-night stand. I talked about this in my January wrap-up. I'm going to talk about it again because I love it. They had a one-night stand at the end of the school year in college, and then the next morning they're both going off to their summer camp job, and they find each other there. And of course, they like fall in love, because what else would happen? And now the very, very last one that I'm gonna talk about is Caraval. So I was really excited to go into this, but I didn't love it as much as I thought it would. So this is about two sisters. What are their names? I know Scarlett and Donatella, but she goes by Tella. Go to Caraval. And there's other characters and stuff like that, but it's like a fantasy with big subplots of romance. And you meet Jax, who's going to be in Once Upon a Broken Heart, which I've not read yet. I'm very excited to read. And I don't even know how to explain it. It's like Caraval is like anything can happen, and like none of it's real, and it's like you have to remember that, and it's like a controversy if it's a game or not. And it was really good, but I think I rated both of these like 3.5 or 4 stars, and then Finale was a 4.5. I thought that was amazing. You see more about the characters, you see more romance. It's like I loved that one. It was definitely the best one for me. I did love the series as a whole, but I did expect to love it more because of booktok, which I didn't, but I still really enjoyed it. It was still a really good read. It's YA, it's closed door, it's very sweet, it's very sad. You don't know what's going on half the time. It's all a mystery. So yeah, I really recommend you pick this up anyways, and hopefully soon you'll be hearing my opinions on Once Upon a Broken Heart, because that's the whole reason I picked up this series. Is like everybody hyped up Once Upon a Broken Heart even more. I was like, okay, well, I'm gonna read the Caraval series first because I'm that girl, and I did. I'm just not going to Once Upon a Broken Heart yet. So yeah, that is my opinions on some of the biggest. That is my opinion on some of booktok series. This is really the only ones I could talk about, rather because I didn't finish the other ones, or I haven't started them, or whatever, or I'm not reading them. So now we can move on to book series that I'm not gonna finish, and I'll try to put them up on the screen if it even fits, because who knows. So the first one I'm not planning on finish, but I might eventually if I can push through, is the Boys of Tomden series, whatever that series. Alright, so I have moved because my camera just ran out of storage for a minute there, and now I'm just at the top of my bed. There's my little Squishmallow, my teddy bear. Yeah. First one I'm gonna talk about, I've already talked about on my TikTok plenty of times, and that is the Boys of Tomden series. I think that's how you pronounce it, whatever. The Binding 13 series. That one is just not for me. I really did not enjoy Binding 13, and I might end up trying to give the second book a chance, because I do know people loved it. I just did not care about the characters in the first book, and maybe with their romance in the book 2, I might enjoy it more. Who knows? But right now it is not a priority at all. I don't even have the second book. Thankfully, I didn't spend the money on the whole series. The Knock Me Out series, I am not planning on finishing. I might try to push through eventually, but right now with school and work, I'm just trying to prioritize the books I really want to read, and they're not one of them. I read Things We Never Got Over, and I did not like them very much. I did not have fun. I find it ridiculous that they're in their 40s and they act like that. Like 40-something-year-old brothers fighting over a girl. Like, that's just like completely ridiculous to me. And I just don't think I can push through. I only have the first book, which my boyfriend got me, and I'm really sad to like tell him that like I did not like the book because he bought it for me, because I wanted to read it. I love that TikTok was talking about it so much, so I really wanted to give it a chance, but it was not for me. And I don't think it was it for a lot of people, but somehow it's like one of the most viral book series in romance on booktok. But I really did not enjoy the first one, and I've heard like different reviews on the other two. So yeah, right now I'm just not planning on finishing that one. yeah, so that's it for today's video. That's all of my opinions. Those are the only 2 series that I've started that I really don't plan on finishing. So yeah, that's it for this video. I'm losing my voice for some reason, and those are my opinions. Leave some in the comments if you want, or don't. Go follow me on TikTok, and have a good night, day, whenever you're watching this. Bye.